Good morning, Acadiana, and thank you for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate and the larger Advocate News organization as a whole. We're glad to be able to bring you this community service every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 and 10 a.m. We read you, with the help of course, our generous news volunteers, we read you the news that the Advocate reports on and puts into their print edition. We're glad again to be able to bring that to you every Monday through Friday on AOC TV, on AOC Community Media, on YouTube, and of course on Cypress Street Radio at aocinc.org/CS Radio. And we're glad to be joined by our volunteer news reader this morning, Mr. Bruce Cohen. Good morning, Bruce.
Well, good morning, Matt. Thank you for being at the helm of the mechanical aspect of this broadcast. Appreciate it as well.
Well, we thank you so much for being here.
Sure. And you can go ahead and listen, and I will start off the news.
I'll do it. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, man. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It is December 21st, 2020, and this is Local News Live. We'll start with the Acadiana Lafayette stores. UL Skills SACS accreditation mountain. That's got to get my mouth moving this early in the morning. By Ken Stickney, staff writer for the Advocate. Upsize connected to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette's accreditation approval. There we go. This month was twofold. The mandatory review by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission enables students to receive federal financial aid for the next decade. And the full report provides an imprimatur that says UL clearly meets all standards. The association evaluates more than 800 public and private schools in 11 states every 10 years to determine if they meet the accrediting body's benchmarks for curriculum, institutional effectiveness, leadership, faculty, facilities, budgets, and more. The association determined that UL met those standards in every category, something that Provost Jamie Hebert said was highly unusual and noteworthy. Was it a home run? It was a grand slam, Hebert responded. That means we passed with flying colors, President Joseph Savoy said in a prepared statement. Here's roughly how accreditation works, according to Savoy. The comprehensive nature of this review required a multi-layered self-evaluation crafted and carried out by stakeholders from across campus. This was an extensive team effort that began more than 2 years ago and involved hundreds of people, and every contribution mattered to the process's ultimate success, Savoy said. The association's documentation generally revolves around the office of the provost, the chief academic officer. Hebert said preparation for the review had started by the time he joined UL and involved meeting 14 principles that the association says the institution must meet. Within those 14 principles were 73 standards that call for committee review on campus and by the association. Administrators, staff, faculty, students, and the community all took part in this 2-year process. The end product of that effort was a document, the institution's quality enhancement plan, that points UL toward improving what students learn and how. Savoy said it provides undergraduates with opportunities to complete creative, scholarly projects that hone skills that will benefit them throughout their lifetimes. Problem solving, oral and written communication, teamwork, and project and time management. Hebert said UL's chief strength, as reflected in the association's review, was that its curriculum evolved and transformed to meet a changing workforce. That includes developments such as creating new, relevant majors in areas like business, nursing, and engineering. We made sure that the academic expansion was done in a way that is responsive to the needs of Louisiana and the region, Hebert said. We designed our master's in industrial chemistry to meet immediate needs in the chemical industry in Louisiana. That's what we need to do, offer what it is that gets students into the workforce. As a public university, the work we do here must be for the public good, Savoy said. And what could be better for the future than graduates who are thoughtful, inquisitive, analytical, and expressive? That's the wider result of a reaccreditation. This process of self-reflection required us as an institution to consider what we owe tomorrow, and we believe we owe it nothing less than emboldening our students to do great things. UL's next scheduled accreditation review will be in 2030. The university will present a 5-year report on the progress of its quality enhancement plan in 2025. University has held SACS accreditation continuously since 1925, when it was known as Southwestern Louisiana Institute, or SLI. Our next story is a gardening story, and please note that I haven't read a coronavirus pandemic or COVID-19 story yet. It will appear in today's broadcast, but this is an interesting story about how does your garden grow. Professor takes cultivation to space with the Radish Project by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. University of Louisiana Lafayette professor Carl Hassenstein is growing radishes, but instead of sprouting in his backyard, the root vegetables are developing roughly 240 miles from Earth's surface on the International Space Station. The UL biologist has conducted plant experiments with NASA since 1995, but this is the first time the scientist has raised produce in space. Hassenstein said even after decades, the work still provides a childlike thrill, and he marvels knowing his work holds open the door to continued space exploration. There's nothing more exciting than that, Hassenstein said. Hassenstein's first batch of radishes were harvested by NASA astronaut Kate Rubins on November 30th, and the 20 specimens were frozen for an eventual return mission to Earth. NASA said in the statement and estimated the radishes will return in 2021 during SpaceX's 22nd commercial resupply services mission. Hassenstein's experiment has been 3 years in the making. A biologist and his team at UL tested a dozen of radish varieties before selecting the cherry bell radish to send it to space because of its high germination rate and quick 27-day growth period, he said. Radishes were a prime option to grow in the International Space Station's advanced plant habitat because they're small with a relatively low canopy and controlled leaf growth, but produce reasonable biomass through their bulbs. They're also related to Arabidopsis, a plant frequently studied and well understood by scientists. While radishes don't have much oomph value-wise, the scientists are constrained by a roughly 2-inch soil depth and limited square footage, ruling out crops like corn or tomatoes, which take up too much space, Hassenstein said. The radish, the bulb tissue itself, is very sensitive to all kinds of conditions, light, medical conditions, all kinds of stuff. And as such, the radishes are a prime example for using this kind of research to understand what it takes to successfully cultivate plants that can actually feed people at some point, he said. Once the cherry bell was selected, Hassenstein analyzed every factor that could impact growth in space to give the NASA astronauts the best guidance possible, from how much water is needed to optimize growth to how much of each mineral needed is to be included in the soil substitute to support appropriate nutrient uptake, and how different colored light affects the plant's growth and behavior, he said. This entire experiment is rather complicated, even though on the surface you think they grow radishes. What's the big deal? Hassenstein said. Hassenstein visited the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral to load the radish seeds into science carriers for transport to the International Space Station, then watched the cargo spacecraft launch at Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia on October 2nd. Once the seats were in place, Hassenstein watched a video downlink from the ISS each day and analyzed data beamed down by a satellite about how the radishes were developing. He coordinated with NASA's team at Kennedy Space Center to communicate with the astronauts and make recommendations for the radishes' care, including how their growth position needed to be adjusted, which seeds were the most vigorous, and what tissues needed to be sampled for genetic analysis. A second batch is being grown on the space station. Eventually, all of the space-grown radishes will be compared to 2 control batches grown on Earth at Kennedy Space Center. Hassenstein said when the radish study is complete, he'll examine the plant's genes and biochemistry to draw conclusions about their growth. All of Hassenstein's research ties back to understanding how plants sense gravity and how plants respond when not in an Earth-like gravitational environment, he said. Over more than 20 years of research, the biologist said he's learned that plants are deeply attuned to their environment and adapt to perceive gravity. Plants don't have eyes, but they perceive their surroundings, and they do not know they're in a 1G gravitational field. It goes to say that in life, in every form, is a very intricate and sensitive thing, has science said. In the future, the biologist said he's interested in studying if plants can adapt and survive the stress of growing on the moon, where 1 moon day is equivalent to 2 weeks of light, followed by 2 weeks of darkness on Earth, and how to make plants more drought tolerant to survive on Mars and the moon. So looking at our first public service announcement break for the morning, everyone should have shelter, especially during the holidays. Christmas is only 4 days away, and Louisiana nights are getting colder. We don't have time to wait. Due to COVID-19 and concerns for community spread, there has been a dramatic decrease in available shelter beds. Those beds will remain unavailable throughout the holidays. That means many experiencing homelessness may have no other option than to sleep on the street. Throughout this pandemic, Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness, or ARC, and Housing, or ARC, A-R-C-H, have been able to utilize local hotel and motel rooms as a temporary housing solution. From there, case managers help our fellow Acadians transition to permanent housing. ARC is very proud of their success in keeping those they serve safe from COVID-19 and on their way to long-term stability. However, the number of homeless is growing and the holidays are here. ARC needs your help to get our neighbors out of the code and into warm, safe housing for the holidays. They're asking for your help. You can go to ARC Acadiana, that's ARCH Acadiana.org. If you prefer to make a donation by mail using check, please make it to ARC and to P.O. Box or ARC at P.O. Box 3936 Lafayette, LA 70502. Vitalant is in need for blood donations, urgent need. Blood and platelet donations often drop during the holiday months as fewer donors are available because of seasonal activities and illnesses. But this year, the outlook is particularly worrisome. With many schools transitioned to virtual learning and business in work from home situations, about 1,600 Vitalant blood drives have already been canceled for November and December. Currently, there is an urgent need for O-negative blood, the universal blood type that all patients can receive. O-negative donors can maximize their impact by giving a power rate donation. We encourage donors to make an appointment by visiting Vitalant.org or by calling 877-25-VITAL. That's a Vitalant, VITALANT.org, or 877-25-VITAL. Okay, getting back into the news cycle, we have a few state stories here to read. The Louisiana Medicaid enrollment surges by 13%. Coronavirus triggered spike, by Sam Collins Sefrat, our first coronavirus story of the morning. In February, weeks before Louisiana would discover its first case of COVID-19, the Louisiana Department of Health sent out letters to 24,000 Medicaid recipients, warning they should be kicked off the rolls if they don't respond and prove they qualify for the program. The letters were part of a stricter eligibility system installed a year earlier, which checked the wages of all enrollees every few months and required them to prove they didn't take too much money to qualify. As a result, enrollment fell and remained consistently lower than before. The pandemic prompted a complete turnaround. After seeing enrollment in the government health insurance program drop off by about 3% from 2018 to 2019, the pandemic and coronavirus response legislation passed by Congress caused a spike in Louisiana's Medicaid population. The number of people covered by the program surged by more than 208,000 from November 2019 to November 2020. That's a jump of about 13%. In all, nearly 1.8 million people in Louisiana, about 39% of the state's 4.6 million residents, were receiving Medicaid as of last month. The increase in Medicaid expansion, a part of the Affordable Care Act, or ACA, that Governor John Bel Edwards put in place shortly after taking office in 2016, was even more dramatic. The number of people receiving insurance from expansion jumped by 116,128, a 25% increase. Expansion covers adults who make up 138% of the federal poverty line. That's up 1,468 $1,000 monthly for an individual, $3,013 a month for a family of four. The spike in claims further reveals the scope of the pandemic's toll on people across the state, many of whom turn to the government health insurance after being laid off. We know very well when the economy goes south, the demand for public services increases, said Jan Moeller, head of the Louisiana Budget Project. It's perfectly understandable and rational that more people would qualify for coverage. This is exactly what the safety net is designed to do, is to pick people up and give them something as basic as healthcare access at a very uncertain time. An historic number of Louisiana residents lost their jobs this year as the pandemic and government restrictions hammered employers. Moeller noted thousands of people who dropped out of the labor force entirely, many because they had to take care of children at home, the schools closed, or shifted online. It's also possible that healthy people who previously qualified for Medicaid because of their low incomes signed up because the pandemic highlighted the importance of family health coverage. Congress in the spring passed legislation that gave Louisiana and other states more money to pay for their share of Medicaid. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act increased the federal match rate by 6.2% for Medicaid, not including the expansion group, that generated about $283 million in savings to the state general fund in the fiscal year that ended this summer, according to State Senator Sharon Hewitt's office. Hewitt, a Slidell Republican, chairs the Medicaid forecasting panel. In the current fiscal year, the savings totaled $440 million. The state legislature used much of the money to pay for other spending priorities like the state's bankrupt unemployment trust fund. In exchange for the windfall, Congress told states they can't kick people off Medicaid during the pandemic unless recipients move, die, or request a voluntary termination of their coverage, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. That meant the state suspended the stricter wage verification program, which critics said kicked many people off the program simply because they didn't fill out paperwork more frequently. Republicans who have hammered the health department for what they say is fraud in the state's program has said the stricter checks are a safeguard against people gaming the system. Tara LeBlanc, interim executive director of Medicaid at the Louisiana Department of Health, said approximately 160,000 people being covered by Medicaid are ineligible. The agency is working with the feds on how to end coverage for people once the federal public health emergency ends. Individuals who are ineligible are expected to undergo a post-eligibility review, LeBlanc said in a statement. It will take approximately 6 months to conduct a post-eligibility review and catch up on suspended renewals. Hewitt, the chair of the Senate Republican delegation, said Medicaid was designed as a safety net for people who need health coverage during tough financial times. I can't think of a more challenging financial climate or a bigger need for health care resources for our families than the current COVID pandemic said. Once this public health emergency is over and we get people back to work, I look forward to working with the Department of Health to identify those individuals who may have needed Medicaid in 2020, but now have employer-sponsored insurance or are able to purchase health insurance on their own. Between mid-March and late October of this year, 71,848 people approved for Medicaid were in a household of someone making unemployment claims because of the pandemic, according to Hewitt's office. Enrollment trends for another piece of the Affordable Care Act, the individual exchange where people who don't qualify for Medicaid or receive coverage from an employer who can buy health insurance, is less clear. Becky Mowbray, a spokesperson for the Louisiana Department of Insurance, said in an email new enrollments are down and renewals are significantly up so far, which is consistent with COVID-19 related job losses triggering special enrollment periods for people in increasing enrollment. But full data that captures the bulk of the individual exchange population, those who renew automatically, isn't available yet. Data from the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services show enrollment through 5 weeks was roughly on par with the same time period last year in Louisiana. In 2020, the number of people signing up for insurance through the individual exchange fell to its lowest point on record for a second straight year as Republicans sued to lose the Affordable Care Act. Mueller said he's extremely concerned about what happens when the public health emergency ends. and potentially hundreds of thousands of people receiving Medicaid in Louisiana will likely disroll the program. We want to ensure it's done in the most orderly, careful fashion possible, and they don't dump tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Medicaid beneficiaries off the rolls because of paperwork issues, he said. Our next story, Baton Rouge Airport traffic down over half. Officials hope for recovery next year by Terry L. June, staff writer. Officials with the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport are optimistic their passenger volumes will bounce back to pre-coronavirus levels by the end of next year. The demand is there. It's just about people feeling comfortable again flying and companies getting back to pre-COVID travel policies, says spokesman Jim Cadwell. But some industry analysts don't expect air travel to rebound fully until late 2023 or early 2024. Like air travel across the world, cities' airports saw far fewer passengers in the spring and summer when stay-at-home orders and coronavirus mitigation measures grounded everyone and the pandemic response crippled the economy. Passenger volume at Baton Rouge Metro is down about 53% compared to the same time last year, but Caldwell said that it's 5 to 6% better than the national average. The number of passengers traveling in and out of Baton Rouge Metro normally holds steady throughout the year between 78,000 to 66,000 people on average. Between the months of August, September, and October, passenger volume at Baton Rouge Metro has been 25,175, 31,321, and 53,212, respectively, according to data posted on Open Data BR. That was after the airport saw its most dramatic drop in volume in April, May, and June, when the number of passengers logged at the airport was 3,337, 10,528, and 15,221, respectively. After seeing record revenue gain in 2019 of approximately $164.5 million, Caldwell said ticket revenues will decrease a little more than 50% this year. Baton Rouge Metro has been on a trend for the past 2 years of steady gains when it comes to passenger volume, experienced a 3.73% increase in 2017 and a 3.77% jump the following year. In April, the airport received an $8.4 million grant from the U.S. Transportation Department when air travel started opening back up as restrictions loosened to mid-year. Over half of our passengers are business travelers who are not as impacted so much by holiday travel needs. We're pretty consistent, he said. We were pleasantly surprised we're doing fairly well considering the times. Caldwell said that airport officials are hopeful that vaccinations for the coronavirus will continue to go well through the first of the year so that by the end of the year, more people who want to take it are able to. The pandemic has installed a series of upgrades to the airport's runway, thanks partially to a $50 million in supplemental grants following the airport funding the airport received from the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Improvement Program. Those projects are still moving forward, Caldwell said. Good news for, and also we have I think this year they're going to, hopefully later in the year of 2021, they're going to open the brand new Lafayette Regional Airport as well. I think in 2021, maybe early 2022. Okay, moving on, we'll go to a couple of public service announcements. Let me bring that back up real quick. Okay. A safe location for holiday online person-to-person exchanges. During the holiday season, online person-to-person sales are an easy way for sellers to make holiday cash and buyers to score a deal, but meeting a stranger to complete the transaction can put both parties in a dangerous situation. The Lafayette Consolidated Government Safe Exchange Location at the Lafayette Police Department is the safest location to carry out exchanges. District 3 City Councilwoman Liz Abear spearheaded the effort, and since opening the location in 2016, has received tremendous feedback from citizens. The safe exchange location has given people a sense of security and comfort when meeting to exchange a product. And if it deters crime, decreasing the likelihood of becoming a victim of a scam, robbery, or assault, she said. According to the Lafayette Police Department Public Information Officer Wayne Griffin, crime increases during the holidays. This time of year, we usually see an uptick in calls to report stealing, robbing, and shoplifting. The public can feel safe knowing exchanges are monitored by a police officer, making citizens less vulnerable to crime, he said. The site is secure with cameras capturing the transaction of vehicles and is located in the parking lot across the street from the police department. Upon arrival, citizens should call the number on the sign and an officer will monitor the transaction using a live video feed. Mayor President Josh Guillory added, I encourage our citizens to use a safe exchange location year-round, but especially during the holidays when unfortunate criminals take advantage of others. We want our citizens to feel secure knowing the site minimizes the risk of danger. Location is also used for court-appointed and non-court-ordered child custody exchanges, offering a neutral and less stressful spot to transfer belongings and hand off children to the other parent without having to walk inside the department. Okay, now let's get back into our news. We're almost at our halfway point, so start out with the day in history, look at the zodiac or horoscope, as I like to call it, and then the funerals of the Kenneana area for today. Today is Monday, December 21st. It's the 356th day of 2020. There are potentially 10 shopping days left in the year, but only 4 shopping days left till Christmas. Winter arrived at 5:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning, which would have been 4:02 our time. So winter is officially here, folks. Today's highlight in history: on December 21st, 1620, pilgrims aboard the Mayflower went ashore for the first time at present-day Plymouth, Massachusetts. On this date in 1864, during the Civil War, Union forces, led by Major General William T. Sherman, concluded their march to the sea as they captured Savannah, Georgia. In 1914, the U.S. government began requiring passport applicants to provide photographs of themselves. In 1940, Arthur F. Scott Fitzgerald died in Hollywood, California at the age of 44. Didn't know he was that young. 1945, U.S. Army General George S. Patton, 60, died in Heidelberg, Germany, 12 days after being seriously injured in a car accident. 1968, Apollo 8 was launched on a mission to orbit the moon. In 1969, Vince Lombardi coached his last football game as his team, the Washington Redskins, lost to the Dallas Cowboys 20-10. In 1988, 270 people were killed when a terrorist bomb exploded aboard a Pan Am Boeing 747 over Lockerbie, Scotland, sending wreckage crashing to the ground. In 1991, 11 of the 12 former Soviet republics proclaimed the birth of the Commonwealth of Independent States and the death of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. 1995, the city of Bethlehem passed from Israeli to Palestinian control. In 2012, the NRA, or the National Rifle Association, said guns and police officers were needed in all American schools to stop the next killer waiting in the wings, quote unquote, taking a no-retreat stance in the face of growing calls for gun control after the Newtown, Connecticut shootings that claimed the lives of 26 children and school staff. 10 years ago, the Census Bureau announced that the nation's population on April 1st, 2010, was 308,745,538, up from 281.4 million a decade earlier. The Divide Federal Communications Commission approved 3-2 new rules known as net neutrality, meant to prohibit broadband companies from interfering with internet traffic flowing to their customers. 5 years ago, a Taliban attacker rammed a bomb-laden motorcycle into a joint NATO and Afghan patrol near the Bagram airfield, killing 6 Americans in the deadliest attack on foreign troops since the previous August. 1 year ago, Joseph Siegel, founder of the home shopping network QVC, died in Pennsylvania. He was 88. Also on this day 1 year ago, 6 people died and 13 others were injured in a fire at an apartment building in downtown Las Vegas. Looking at today's birthday, talk show host Phil Donahue is 85. Actor Jane Fonda, 83 years young. Singer Carla Thomas, 78. Musician Albert Lee, 77. Conductor Michael Tilson Thomas is 76 years old today. Actor Josh Mostel, 74. Actor Samuel L. Jackson, 72. Movie producer Jeffrey Katzenberg is 70. International Tennis Hall of Famer Chris Everett is 66. International Tennis Hall of Famer, I already read that one. I'm sorry. Double speak. Country singer Leroy Purnell is 64. Actor comedian Ray Romano is 63, a fave of mine. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin is 58. Actor comedian Andy Dick is 55. Actor Keither Sutherland is 54. Actor Julie Delpy is 51. Actor Glenn Fitzgerald is 49. And actor Rutina Wesley is 42 years old today. Okay, taking a look at the zodiac or the horoscope, if you're a Sagittarius, you were born between November 21st throughout November 23rd to December 21st. So it's my moist birth sign. Someone you live or work with will offer false information, verify what was expected of you before you jump into action. Make changes that suit your needs. Romance is on the rise. Capricorns, December 22nd through January 19th. My oldest son's birth sign. A creative outlet will help you relax. A change of plans will turn out to be better than anticipated. Head in the direction that makes your life easier and less stressful. Aquarius, January 20th through February 19th. Take your time, think matters through, and avoid making a premature move. Use your intelligence, connections, and skills to help you make better decisions. Push back if someone pressures you. Pisces, February 20th through March 20th. Leave nothing to chance. How you handle your responsibilities will affect your reputation. Make a point to align yourself and people who share your motives, ethics, and beliefs. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Don't make a fuss, embrace change, and turn it into a golden opportunity. A move will turn into a positive learning experience. Act responsibly, do your part, and finish what you start. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. A change can be confusing. Be clear about what you are doing to avoid a misunderstanding. Joint ventures handled with diplomacy will turn out well. Don't offer to pay for someone's mistakes. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th, my younger son's first sign. Refuse to let anyone dictate what you can do. Use your attributes wisely and strive for perfection. Channel your energy into new beginnings and opportunities that improve your life. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. Don't let anger or emotions take control. Embrace change and you'll discover something you're good at and enjoy doing. Keep secrets and passwords to yourself. Leos, which was my mom's birth sign, July 21st through August 22nd. Look at your options, take care of responsibilities, and leave no room for error. Don't let a change someone makes upset you. Concentrate on your goal and strive for positive results. Virgos, my birth sign, August 23rd through September 22nd. Make adjustments at home. That'll help keep the peace. Be mindful of others and look for a pursuit you can enjoy with a loved one. Offer suggestions that will help solve financial issues. And then move on to Libras, September 23rd through October 23rd. Delve into something that needs to be revised and make the necessary adjustments. Engage in talks that will help you overcome any uncertainty. Stubbornness will not solve problems. And finally, Scorpio, October 24th through November 22nd. Don't feel obligated to agree to something uncertain. Uncertainty is proof enough that it isn't time to make a move. Assess your situation, use your imagination, and look for solutions. And of course, the horoscope is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact, folks. Looking at the funeral today in the Canadiana area, Jacqueline Burton Turner in New Orleans will be held. Her funeral service are being held in New Orleans at Pilgrim NBC at 2241 South Liberty Street, again in New Orleans, at 9 a.m. this morning. Your service is already underway. Juanita Abear, Family Life Church, 2223 Dulles Drive, Lafayette at 3 p.m. And Willis the Valet, St. Anne Catholic Church at 11:30 a.m. Okay, moving on. Getting back to state news. New Orleans Judge Harry Cantrell, to run out the clock, will not face public disciplinary hearing by John Zimmerman, staff writer. The Louisiana Supreme Court set up new rules this year to quell public criticism over its secretive system for disciplining judges accused of misconduct. But the first judge to face public charges under those attempts at transparency, Orleans Parish Magistrate Judge Harry Cantrell, is about to run out the clock. He'll be leaving the bench and a stack of ethical complaints behind him with no public disciplinary hearing, much less a blot on his judicial record. Cantrell, who's the father-in-law of Mayor LaToya Cantrell, officially steps down at year's end as the city's primary seller of criminal bail bonds. He's 73, past the state constitution age limit of 70 for judges to serve a new term. Juana Marine Lombard, a former Louisiana Alcohol and Tobacco Control Commissioner, won the November 3rd election to succeed him. In June, Louisiana Judiciary Commission set a mid-November hearing date for Cantrell to answer to 4 ethical misconduct charges stemming from an investigation that began in 2017, according to Judiciary Commission records. It appeared then that Cantrell would face the commission in a public hearing. He would have to be the first judge to do so under rules the Supreme Court put in place this year in the face of mounting criticism of the secrecy of a process that historically has brought to light only a tiny percentage of complaints against judges, while barring mere mention of the existence of a judicial complaint. Cantrell requested and received an extension to this week, saying that COVID-19 concerns have slowed depositions and subpoena returns. A new hearing date was set over 3 days, beginning December 14th. Recently, it was continued without date. Judiciary Commission records show that on November 19th, the hearing officer assigned to Cantrell's case, 4th Judicial District Judge Wilson Rambo from Wichita and Morehouse parishes, agreed there was little point left to a commission hearing, given the fact that Cantrell would soon be leaving office. It wasn't enough, he determined, to overcome concerns about the spread of the virus. Rambo wrote that those health concerns far outweigh the need to conduct a hearing in a matter in which final resolution before the commission loses jurisdiction ultimately will be impossible. Rambo blamed inherent procedural delays under the applicable rules for leaving the charges against Cantrell to wither on the vine. Dane Cialino, a Loyola Law School professor who has represented numerous judges and lawyers in misconduct proceedings, said the Supreme Court might refer an unresolved complaint against a judge who leaves the bench to the office of a disciplinary counsel, which fields complaints against lawyers. But once a judge takes off the black robe, the commission holds no power over them. After resignation or retirement of a judge, the Judiciary Commission matter becomes moot, Colino said. The Judiciary Commission, the enforcement arm of the Louisiana Supreme Court, and when it comes to judicial misconduct, took no position on either the delay that Cantrell requested or his more recent request to table his case altogether. Among other things, Cantrell was accused of willful misconduct and persistent and public conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice that brings the judicial office into disrepute. From the bench, he launched or threatened contempt of court proceedings against defense attorneys who requested bond for their clients in amounts below a $2,500 floor that he adopted. That sparked a federal civil rights lawsuit that forced an overhaul of the court's funding scheme. The commission also charged Cantrell with committing an egregious illegal error when he ordered a murder suspect extradited in 2016 without a proper hearing, and accused him of running an illegal short-term rental out of his former law office in the CBD of the Central Business District. Cantrell's attorney, James Gibson, did not return a message for seeking comment on Monday. In documents responding to the charges, Cantrell denied that he ever set a minimum bail in his courtroom. He said his threats of contempt for lawyers who requested lower bonds came because of their disruptive behavior. Cantrell admitted to making errors in the extradition case, but chalked them up to confusion. He admitted to breaking the law on short-term rentals, but said the mistake didn't rise to the level of threatening the integrity of the judiciary. Ciolino cited the case in Jefferson Parish Judge Alan Green as one that clarified that judicial discipline is a dead issue once a judge steps off the bench. Green, who was convicted in 2005 as part of the FBI's wrinkled robe investigation into corruption at the Jefferson Parish Courthouse in Gretna, was accused of much more serious misconduct than Cantrell. Green went before the Judiciary Commission that same year for a hearing following his conviction. He resigned a week after the commission recommended the removal from office, but before the Louisiana Supreme Court was to consider it. The Supreme Court later ruled that the disciplinary charges against Green were moot because of his resignation. In Green's case, the court referred his misconduct charges to the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, which prosecutes attorneys accused of ethical misconduct for the court. Green went on to resign permanently from the practice of law in lieu of discipline. Okay, now we're going to turn to national news because it's about the virus relief program, and it is. We usually don't read national news stories, but this one will obviously affect all the states, including Louisiana. Congress reaches deal on virus relief by Andrew Taylor, Associated Press. The story out of Washington. Top Capitol Hill negotiators sealed a deal Sunday on an almost $1 trillion COVID-19 economic relief package, delivering help to businesses and individuals and providing money to deliver vaccines to a nation eager for them. The agreement, announced by congressional leaders, would establish a temporary $300 per week supplemental jobless benefit and a $600 direct stimulus payment to most Americans, along with a new round of subsidies for hard-hit businesses and money for schools, healthcare providers, and renters facing eviction. It came after months of battling and posturing, but the negotiating dynamic changed in Republicans' favor after the election and as the end of the congressional session neared. President-elect Joe Biden was eager for a deal to deliver long-awaited help to suffering people and a boost to the economy, even though it was less than half the size the Democrats wanted this fall. House leaders informed lawmakers that they would vote on the legislation on Monday, and the Senate was likely to vote on Monday too. Lawmakers were eager to leave Washington and close out a tumultuous year. There will be another major rescue package for the American people. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, said in announcing the agreement for a relief bill that would total almost $900 billion. It is packed with targeted policies to help struggling Americans who have already waited too long. A fight over Federal Reserve emergency power was resolved Saturday night by the Senate's top Democrat Chuck Schumer of New York and conservative Republican Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. That breakthrough led to a final round of negotiations on Sunday. Still, delays in finalizing the agreement prompted the House to take up a one-day stopgap spending bill to prevent a government shutdown at midnight Sunday. The Senate was likely to pass the measure Sunday night as well. The final agreement would be the largest spending measure yet. It combined COVID-19 relief with a $1.4 trillion government-wide funding plan and lots of other unrelated measures on taxes, health, infrastructure, and education. The government-wide funding would keep the government open through September. Passage neared as coronavirus cases and deaths spiked, and evidence piled up that the economy was struggling. Legislation had been held up by months of dysfunction, posturing, and bad faith. But talks turned serious in recent days as lawmakers on both sides finally faced the deadline of acting before leaving Washington for Christmas. The $300 per week bonus jobless benefit was half the supplemental federal unemployment benefit provided under the CARES Act, C-A-R-E-S Act in March, and would be limited to 11 weeks instead of 16 weeks. The direct $1,600 stimulus payment to most people would also be half the March payment, subject to the same income limits on which an individual's payment began to phase out after $75,000. President Donald Trump was supportive of the effort, particularly of the push for providing more direct payments. Get it done, he said in a tweet late Saturday. Lawmakers have voted to pass the bill this weekend and avoid the need for a stopgap spending bill, but progress slowed Saturday as Toomey pressed for the inclusion of a provision to close down the Fed's lending facilities. Democrats and the White House said it was too broadly worded and would have tied the hands of the incoming Biden administration, but Republicans rallied to Toomey's position. After the announcement, Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, announced additional details, including $25 billion in rental assistance, $15 billion for theaters and other live venues, $82 billion for local schools, colleges, and universities, and $10 billion for childcare. Still, Democrats wanted more. Pelosi, in a letter to colleagues, called the package an initial step. In 31 days, when Joe Biden enters the White House, more help will be on the way, Pelosi said. The government-wide appropriations bill would fund agencies through next September. The measure was likely to provide at least $1.4 billion installment for Trump's U.S.-Mexico border wall as a condition of winning his signature. The bill was an engine to carry much of the Capitol Hill's unfinished business, including an almost 400-page water resources bill that targets $10 billion for 46 Army Corps of Engineers flood control, environmental, and coastal protection projects. Another addition would extend a batch of soon-to-expire tax breaks, including one for craft breweries, wineries, and distillers. The end-of-season rush also promised relief for victims of shockingly steep surprise medical bills, a phenomenon that often occurs when providers drop out of insurance company networks. Okay, we'll take another public service announcement break here. AOC teams up with United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. For daily schedules and to submit content for the program, you can visit the United Way of Acadiana website at unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. Keep it calm through COVID hotline if you're feeling overwhelmed with stress, fear, and anxiety about the uncertainty of the pandemic and this public health emergency. There is a special Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline you can call. This connects you to trained, compassionate counselors who can offer support and who can direct you to mental health and substance abuse counseling services in your area. Trained counselors are available 24/7. All calls are confidential. If you feel you need the service, please call 1-866-310-7977. That's 866-310-7977. And locally, you can stop the spread. Call and send #StopTheSpread for the latest local in Acadiana COVID-19 updates and information. You can visit on the web at www.311lafayette.services, or you can call our centers with volunteers and medical professionals that are active 24/7 to answer your questions about COVID-19 and to determine if you need to get screened. You may also call 311 and press option 2 if you're a business owner or employee or looking for a job to get information about applying for small business recovery loans. Apply for unemployment benefits and related programs. Okay, let's get back into the news. We're now headed into our sports stories for the morning. The Raging Cajuns are headed to the First Responder Bowl. The game is 10th bowl in school history by Kevin Foote, sports and staff writer for The Advocate. University of Louisiana at Lafayette Raging Cajuns 10th bowl in school history to face Texas San Antonio and the ServPro First Responder Bowl in Dallas on Saturday. The game is scheduled to begin at 2:30 p.m. on local affiliate ABC. It's a good day for our team, y'all, Coach Billy Napier said. We're excited about the opportunity to play on national television on ABC. Certainly the biggest bowl in the history of our school in terms of payout and exposure. To be outside the inventory of bowls of the Sun Belt Conference play It makes a statement about the type of season we've had. The bowl appearance comes under a cloud of disappointment and unfulfilled hopes. The number 17 ranked Cajuns 9-1, that's number 17 nationally ranked Cajuns, had their chances of competing for a Sun Belt Conference championship taken away by COVID-19 issues from Coastal Carolina. As it turned out, Cincinnati beat Tulsa 27-24 on a field goal in the final play of the game, so neither Sun Belt team will get the opportunity to play in a New Year's Day bowl. While the Cajuns are going to Dallas, number 9 Chanticleers, number 12 in the college football poll, will be headed to the Cure Bowl to play Liberty on Saturday in Orlando, Florida. For the Cajuns, this bowl appearance is the 10th in program history. UL has a 6-3 record on the field in those bowl games, winning one for the first time since 2014 last year, with a 27-17 win over Miami of Ohio and the Lending Tree Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. We're going to get a final opportunity to compete with this group of players and the staff, Napier said. I think we've got to channel some of the emotion that we did have about not having an opportunity to compete for a championship. We've got to take the anger and frustration and disappointment, and we've got to move forward here and use those things as fuel on the fire to get ready to play on the 26th of December. What's happened has happened. We're going to move forward here and really look forward to finishing the season in a quality ball game against a really formidable opponent. The Cajuns lost at Tulane 41-24 in the first bowl game in the Billy Napier era in 2018. This will be the first meeting between UL and Texas San Antonio. It will be the second meeting against a Conference USA team this season, beating University of Alabama Birmingham, or UAB, on the road 24-20 in Birmingham. The Roadrunners, 7-4 this season, began their season with 3 wins and finished it with 3 wins. In the middle section of the season, Texas San Antonio lost 4 or 5 games. The 4 losses were to BYU, UAB, Army, and Florida Atlantic, while the win was 27-26 over Louisiana Tech. The offense is led by dual threat quarterback Frank Harris, who has run 437 yards and 8 touchdowns, and has 146 of 273 passing for 1,422 yards with 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Sincere McCormick led the Roadrunners in rushing with 1,345 yards and 11 scores. The 2 top receivers are Joshua Cephas, 53 carries for 521 yards and 4 TDs, and Zachariah Franklin, 44 carries for 579 yards and 6 TDs. The cancellations of the Central Arkansas and Sun Belt Conference Championship game mean the Cajuns won't have a chance to match or surpass last year's 11-3 record, but UL could record successive double-figure win seasons for the first time in school history. If you want to go to Dallas to catch the game live, ticket information are available for fans to attend Saturday's game. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, however, there is no way to select your seats, only the section and price you choose to purchase. All tickets and parking purchases are available digitally only. All seating will be in pods, either 2 or 4, with the majority of socially distant pods being 4 seats. Price ranges are $25, $75, $100, and $125. More information is available at firstresponderbowl.com. That's First Responder, RESPONDER bowl.com. Turning to the Raging Cajuns basketball team, senior Russ comfortable big role for 6-1 Cajuns basketball by Kevin Foote. UL coach Barb Marlin maintains his stance that he feels good about the Raging Cajuns, as his Raging Cajuns are contenders for the Sun Belt West title this season. Even Marlin, however, missed is still a long way to go to that point. In the meantime, the 6-1 Cajuns are relying heavily on senior guard Cedric Russell. Another prime example was Saturday's 75-65 win over McNeese State at the Cajun Dome, with Russell contributing 23 points and 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Coming in, I knew we had some younger guys, and it was going to take them to get adjusted to the speed of the game, the pace of the game, which is fine, Russell said. This past summer, that's all I was kind of working on, just really focus on preparation, being able to take it to the next level and bring these guys with me. So it wasn't like I wasn't prepared for it, to bring these guys along and continue to fight through it. In Saturday's game, Russell got 3 three-pointers to fall, but much of his recent damage has been driving to the basket. Just really with my preparation and my pregame routine and stuff, it's just reading what the defense gives me, Russell said. In recent years, I was kind of labeled as a shooter. Guys know I can shoot the ball. We're just trying to add that next step to my game and just really focus in hard on it. Marlon also revealed after Saturday's win the job Russell did defensively, as well as overcoming an injury and his overall leadership during McNeese's second half run that cut the lead to 50-48 momentarily. Yes, Cedric is the leader in that situation, Marlon said. Cedric did a great job defensively as well for not practicing the last 2 days. He had some major turf toe on that offensive foul at the end of New Orleans game. He got called for a charge and stubbed his toe. He couldn't walk the next day. He gave a gusty performance. I'm sure he'll be sore tomorrow. Russell said he embraces the larger load. So it wasn't like I wasn't prepared for it to bring these guys along and continue to fight through it. He said, it's not necessarily a big load. It's something I looked forward to, especially coming to my last year. I just want to go out with a bang. Russell's defensive effort was focused on the first half on McNeese sharpshooter Drew Gushausen, who was limited to 3 points in 21 minutes. Marlon said UL's game plan changed in the second half, though. They were able to get some easy baskets, were able to get the ball inside to postman Keyshawn Fizell, Marlon said. He had a good half. We took the double team off him in the second half. We wanted to see if he could beat us. He hit 17 points and 12 rebounds. We shut out Drew Gushausen. He's a guy who can hit 8 or 10 threes. He's done it already this year. But while there's a lot on Russell's shoulders, he feels very comfortable with the team's current togetherness. For sure, these guys put a lot of trust on me, my coaching staff, and my teammates, Russell said. They trust me. They know the work that I do. These guys follow my lead. When I have a support group like that, it's easy to go out there and perform. All these guys have brought into me, and I brought into them, and we're all about winning. That's the biggest thing. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for this morning's broadcast. I appreciate you if you tuned in. We do this local news live free to our public, to our hearing impaired public, as well as our public out there that don't get the newspaper or have access to the news cycle. We do this every Monday through Friday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We bring you all the local news and state news and sports that is available to us on Monday through Friday. And again, we appreciate giving you the service. It's all done by volunteer readers like myself, and it has been for the last 9.5 months at our home studio, since it's not safe still to go out in public and go to the studio. I do miss the podcast booth, but I'm happy to do it from my home. If you're interested in becoming a newspaper volunteer, you can reach us by going to our website, AOC Inc., that's AOCINC.org. Bring down the volunteer page, look up volunteer newspaper reader, fill out the form. Miss Mandy will get in touch with you, set you up. It's really easy to do from your home if you have a computer, or you could do it from your phone, I guess, but a computer is better, or an iPad of some sort, or some kind of device similar to that. And we'd love to have you join our newspaper reading volunteer family. And again, this is Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. I appreciate you tuning in. Please stay safe, healthy, and smart out there. Continue to be smart. Continue to follow protocols. Even when we get to the point where the public starts getting the vaccinations, please go out and get the vaccinations you deserve to fight off this terrible, terrible virus. And I just read a news story that there's another variant of the virus breaking out in England. So we need to be cautious, folks. We need to be vigilant. We need to be smart out there. So just wear your mask. It's not a big deal. Wear your mask, continue to wash your hands, sanitize, and take all precautions. And I always say, be kind to each other. Please be kind to each other. Kindness works. It's just be kind to each other, and we'll help each other out, and we'll get through this together. Okay? Have a great day, great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the flip-flop. Bye for now.